Man, I'm hungry.
Hey, Hungry. I'm Proper, and this is Crash Course Literature.
Today we'll be covering The Importance of Being Earnest by Oscar Wilde.
The Importance of Being Earnest is a story about a man named Jack having to bring together his two identities for the woman he loves.
Oscar Wilde was born October 16, 1854, in Dublin, Ireland.
One of Oscar's most significant events is when his father sent him mail, calling him a posing sodomite, which made Oscar so angry he sued his father for libel. The trial in March presented evidence of Oscar's homosexuality with love letters to Douglas, which resulted in a dismissal of his case and the arrest of Oscar Wilde. His charges were for gross indecency, and he spent 2 years in prison. When he came out of prison, he was not only malnourished and fragile, but also exiled to France. On November 30th, 1900, in Paris, France, he died from meningitis at age 46.
The title, The Importance of Being Earnest, is a double pun on the words earnest, meaning sincere and serious, and the name Ernest. Wilde wrote the title as The Importance of Being Earnest as a farce, a play that focuses on not being too serious about Victorian society. Furthermore, Algernon Moncrief and Jack Worthing both lie about their names being being Ernest. Get the joke?
The play takes place during the Victorian era, which is characterized by rapid change and developments in nearly every sphere, and there was a lot of uncertainty and doubt over England's place in the world. Patriarchal families encourage hard work, respectability, social deference, and religious conformity. During this era, it led to the birth and spread of political movements such as socialism, liberalism, and organized feminism. Jack is known as Ernest in the city in order to please the fancy snobs living there. In the country, Jack goes by Jack, but has to lie to those around him in order to escape into the city. Jack pretends to have an immoral brother, Ernest, in the city, who he uses as an excuse to escape the stifling country.
The story begins with a confrontation between Algernon and Jack, where Algernon has discovered that Jack is really Ernest, or Ernest is really Jack, and he also discovers that he is a Bunburyist. That he also has an alter ego named named Ernest, and he's pretending to be Jack's brother, Ernest, in order to please Cecily, the woman that he wishes to marry. And both Gwen, Jack's fiance, and Algernon's fiance Cecily are in love with the name Ernest, and so they say that they will not marry them unless their names are Ernest, meaning that the two men must now change their names to Ernest in order to become Ernest. The plot comes to a head when when it ends in a confrontation between the men and their fiancés, where the fiancés have discovered that they are lying about their names not being Ernest and how they are really Jack and Algernon. The play ends with Jack's biological mother finding him after he was been adopted when he was a child, and he discovers that he was actually intentionally named to be Ernest before he was adopted and left behind. So in the end, everything is well, and he discovers that his name really is Ernest. The plot relates to Victorian society and how everyone was obsessed with their image and looking good back then. This is reflected in the fact that Gwen and Cecily believe that they will not be happy in their marriages unless that their husband's names are Ernest, because they believe that it is a strong name that imbues the person with the name with like courage and sincerity and seriousness. Which is also kind of ironic considering that the play doesn't take itself too seriously anyways. Cecily Cardew is a child of nature and has created this fantasy around herself and Algernon in which she has envisioned herself as being in love with him and being his fiancée and soon-to-be wife. Gwendolyn Fairfax is a woman who represents everything about Victorian womanhood and is a strong-minded and elegant woman. Algernon Moncrief is an amoral character, meaning he falls neither on the good or bad side of the spectrum of morality. He is also artsy and even a stand-in for Wilde himself. Jack Worthing was adopted at a very young age, as he was abandoned at a very young age. He is engaged to the Gwendolyn Fairfax and upholds conventional Victorian values.
In Victorian society, people usually had a double life, separate from the social norms of self-restraint and proper imagery. In the play, this is shown through the lifestyle of Bunburying, a term coined by Algernon to refer to his creation of an invalid friend that allows him to escape his normal life and Without drawing excessive attention, Jack employs the same technique through his creation of a troubled brother that acts as an immoral standard to improve Jack's image. Food is used within the play to allude to indulgences such as sex that the higher class indulge in. This is emphasized in the scene where Cecily and Gwendolyn argue about the merits and fallacies in eating too much sugar, a conversation that actually revolves around indulging oneself. Oscar Wilde wrote The Importance of Being Earnest as a satirical commentary about the lives of Victorian society, which revolved around keeping up a certain image through social grace and Christian values such as charity, honesty, and purity. The characters within the play are extremely shallow and dishonest, not only as a means of humor, but also as a way of sarcastically reflecting on the audience's lives.
The Importance of Being Earnest ties in both references from literature and history throughout the book. It does this through mentionings of the New Testament, as in Galatians 6:7, and in the historical context, it ties in references such as from history, such as the liberal unionists and the French Revolution.
One of the themes in One of the themes in The Importance of Being Earnest is the nature of marriage. This was first introduced when Algernon was speaking with his manservant, Lane. Algernon hates marriage, but then falls for Cecily and changes his opinion about it from negative to positive. Jack is very consistent with his obsession with love and infatuation with Gwendolyn.
Another theme within the novel is hypocrisy. For example, Algernon questions Jack on his actions when he finds his cigar case, as evidenced by his brother Ernest. However, this is hypocritical, because Algernon has a fictional character of his own that gets him out of his obligations. Another example is when Lady Bracknell hates on Jack's mannerisms. However, the two of them are related.
A common motif in the play are puns. Puns are consistent throughout the play and are used to develop the humor of the play. For example, the title, Earnest, is both a name and a quality.
Another major motif is death. Both Jack and Algernon talk about death of Ernest and Bunbury, and this represents the getting rid of their lies and guilt with these two characters.
You don't think there's any chance of Gwendolyn becoming like her mother in about 150 years, do you, Algie?
All women become like their mothers. It is a tragedy, and no men do. It is theirs.
Is that clever?
It is perfectly phrased, and quite as true as any observation in civilized life should be.
This quote highlights the sarcastic and negative, yet somewhat philosophical nature Algernon carries throughout this play. The overstatement from Jack presents the heavy distaste he has for Lady Bracknell by implying that she herself is over 150.
Oh, I am not really wicked at all, Cousin Cecily. You mustn't think that I am wicked.
If you are not, then you have certainly been deceiving us in a very inexcusable manner. I hope you have not been leading a double life, pretending to be wicked and being really good all the time. That would be hypocrisy.
This quote conveys that it is worse to be a good man pretending to be wicked than it is to be a wicked man acting wicked. In this case, Algernon falls into the first category, where he is caught in yet another web of hypocrisy.
Good morning, Cecily.
Man, I'm hungry.
Oh, hi, hungry. I'm proper. Crap.
Or continue frolicking, go back in the trees.
Being Earnest is, Points of Being Earnest is a story about a man having to bring together his two halves in order to be...
We have to do sitcom appearance and presentation.
I had a burp.
Wait, who's Jack?
Okay, I can't.
Jack, you look more like an...
He's ready for
Wait, I have an idea. What if I get super